Welcome to this edition of Assembly Update, this special edition of Assembly Update. I'm Mike Friesen. Our topic today is learning for work, and we're going to be explaining for you folks what learning for work means with our two guests today. We've got two members of the New York State Assembly. We have Assemblyman Ken Blankenbush, who represents the North Country and the Mohawk River Valley, and we've got Assemblyman Mike Norris, who represents parts of Western New York State. And we want to thank them, and we want to thank you folks for joining us for our program today. Assemblyman Norris, let me start with you. Learning for work. What does that mean?
What it means is, have you ever tried to get a plumber or electrician or someone to take care of your air conditioning unit? It's hard to find someone.
I have, and it is hard
right?
to find them, yes.
And over the last 20 or 25 years or so, we have found that these, what we consider professional skills, are certainly hard to come by. Hard to find someone to come and fix these, your electrical work or whatever. And I can tell you from a personal experience, my brother, and I come from a family of 4 boys. One of them, my brother, Jeff, went on to be an electrician by trade, went to the BOCES program. We knew early on he wasn't the greatest at high school in doing all of that, but he was great with his hands. And you would not want me fixing your electrical socket, trust me. However, he does a great job at that, and I know that so many other individuals have these skills, and there's thousands of jobs out there in New York for these professional skills. So what we did, Assemblyman Blankenbush and I, formed this task force. We went all across the state taking testimony from labor, from our educators, from the business community, and we tried to identify real issues within this that would help promote trades and professional skills into our workforce going forward. So we were very proud to be a part of this, and we produced a report about 28 pages of our ideas that came from these task force work.
Mike Norris, I'm with you. I am of the school, stay out of the person's way. If there's some electric work or plumbing that needs to be done, I'm best on the other side of the room. Ken Blankenbush, are you going to come and fix our electric?
No, but my son can.
Yeah?
The one example I have that Mike has just talked about is that I have 2 children. I have a daughter who is a very good student, went on to become a pharmacist, and my son who was an average student, but it wasn't really college material, and we always knew that he was able to work with his hands. Now, eventually, over the years, he got to the point way into his 30s before he realized the potential that he had and he works for an electric company. And I guess my point is, I wish that I would have recognized that he would have been the ideal student to go to a BOCES and learn a trade. And he's very happy what he does. And he was even kidding with my daughter one time and saying, well, now I can give you a loan as a pharmacist because it's a very good paying job. One of the things that we heard when we were going around is the need for electricians and plumbers in the trades. And one time during the testimony, a young man, probably around 19 or 20, stood up and wanted to tell us his story. And part of his story was, I wanted to go to BOCES. My mother did not want me to go to BOCES. And she fought him and fought him and fought him. Didn't want to, so he eventually convinced her that that's what he wanted to do. And he did. He went to BOCES. At 19 years old, as a crane operator now, he was making $65,000 a year. But here's the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say.
Right.
His mother got up and said, I'm his mother. And I did. I fought him, and I fought him, and I fought him. And she said, I wanted him to go to college. He did not want to go to college. And so he won, and I sent him he went to BOCES and learned that trade. Now here's the last thing she said to us. She goes, now, what I do for a living is I am the school superintendent of that school. And she goes, I have now a new perspective on what BOCES does for students. So we heard stories like similar to that in our 6 stops going from Niagara Falls to Long Island.
Well, it seems to me that it's so commonplace today. Where is your kid going to go to school? Where are you going to go to school? Where are you going to go to college? You got to have a college education. If you don't have a college education, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to have a good chance in life, a good chance for a good future. And that seems to be such a message that's really driven hard for kids nowadays. Is that part of what you saw as you traveled around, what you ran into?
Well, yes. I mean, and I think every stop, all of the 6 stops. I mean, we could have wrote the script from each one of them. That what they're finding is that's the and I don't know whether it's the stigmatism for the student.
Right.
You know, when I was going to school back then, if the kids that I knew that went to BOCES were labeled the ones that weren't very smart.
Right.
Now that's opposite now. They're pretty smart going to a BOCES and learning a trade. And so, yes, we heard that all over, and again, in my situation, I wish I recognized that way ahead of time.
We got some footage we're going to roll of showing some of the places you went, some of the things that you saw, and some of the people that you met with on your travels. So we're going to roll some of that now. Give us an idea of what we're looking at here, Mike Norris, and the kinds of things that you learned on these trips.
Well, here we were out in Sanborn, and Ken was right here, of course, and we were listening. We were talking with the BOCES superintendent, the principal out there. We were also talking with the students and seeing the benefits to them for being in this program. And here they are right there, hands-on in the shop. And what a better place to get an experience to go in that trade and actually get a good paying job. And I got to tell you, jobs that are needed are in our community from the North Country right through Western New York. And it was really a great opportunity to do this and to interact. You can see us here at the task force. And what we had heard at this task force is it's important, we think, that BOCES be rebranded at this point in time, that we give it a career path name, because really it's an opportunity for those individuals who want to pursue trades, these professional skills, should be proud to actually go and to get these trades under their belt. So very important. And at the same time, we're not saying you can't do college. Sometimes it can be a dual path. You can do college along with the trade, and I tell you, you're marketable greatly when you go out into the workforce. So one of our big areas that we want to make sure we do is rebrand BOCES. That's part of our program. And also at an early age, I'm talking about the 7th, the 8th, the 9th grades, exposing our students and the parents and the teachers to these opportunities to get good paying jobs in our communities, to get these trades. Much needed, and we felt through this task force, we're so glad of all the participants. We learned a lot, and that's why we put forth this plan for the governor and for the Speaker of the Assembly and for the Senate Majority Leader to consider. And as we're dealing with the budget, this is also a topic that should be dealt with.
You always hear about supply and demand, and you're saying that there is a demand for tradespeople.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Electricians. I was sitting in my local garage while my car was getting just an oil change. Thank you very much. But as I was sitting there, a fella came in and changed the little sign on the wall that they have there about how much the hourly rate is. It went from 130 something an hour to 151 an hour. And I'm thinking, what everybody thinks when they see something like that, I think I got in the wrong business, right? So there's not only a demand for it, but it can be lucrative, as you said, Ken Blankenbush.
Yeah, one of the other problems that we heard during in all 6 stops was the fact that it's hard to get an instructor to teach the different trades. And one of the reasons is because the people that are the experts at it, that are working there, they make too much money doing their trades.
They're good at it.
They're good at it, and so it's hard for a BOCES, for example, to get instructors to leave the job that they're So one of the things one of the things I think we have to do is look at the salary range and so forth to encourage people to be teaching those trades, and if that means to raise the level of pay for them, we have to take a look at that.
One of the things I caught that you said as we were showing the pictures of some of your activities on this task force is that you listened. I asked, what were you doing? You listened. And I guess that was the important part of it, right? That's the important part of a task force. You're not just heading out to say, this is the way we think things ought to be. You went out to say, what do you folks think?
And that's interesting that you say that, because I forgot about this too. When we traveled and we had different members of the assembly sitting with us, we told them up front, we're here to listen, not to talk. You can ask questions and stuff, but we want to hear what the people say that are that are testimonies that we have accumulated all the time. And it was a good learning experience for both of us, and I hope for the members that sat with us.
You probably had a learning experience telling elected officials they weren't supposed to talk, right? So now that you have gone out and you've had the events and you listened to people and you have brought that information back, what's the outcome of this? You mentioned a report, right?
Yes, we've published a 28-page report with our findings, which includes making sure that we rebrand the BOCES, that we invest more into the P-TECH programs, which is a great program in terms of our math and our science. Also to have the Department of Labor, for example, work more closely with our businesses. This is something that Assemblyman Blankenbush and I heard a lot of when we spoke to the businesses, that there were certain regulations and rules that are prohibited from having interns or people to be exposed to these trades early on. So that's also in a report. So we put together a comprehensive report with findings and recommendations, and we hope that they're going to be taken into consideration.
And that brings the hard work now, though, right?
Yes,
because
right.
you've got to convince the people that are here in Albany,
And Department of Education.
and Department of Labor, Department of Education, that you've got some good ideas here.
And I think in every stop, there were business people, manufacturing groups, that were sitting out there that would, if we asked a question, how many have open jobs opportunities right now today, most all of them raised their hand. So you ask the example of, like, what kind of income are you talking about? Some were talking $50,000 right out, so can you imagine a 19-year-old or 20-year-old who has gone through the program, that knows how to operate these different machinery that manufacturing groups are looking at, that start at $50,000 without any college loans. I mean, so,
Right.
For those students that are geared for that, this is a perfect opportunity for the state of New York to take a new look at the trades and how we can put this together so that we can push our young high school students. And just like Mike said, we can't wait until 11th and 12th grade. We got to get them going early on, and so that we could produce some graduates that could come right out, make a living, and what are they doing? They're paying taxes. The economy's better. So we ought to be taking a closer look at that, and we're going to be showing that, we produced that report, and we're still going to be pushing that program.
This is a topic that has opportunity written all over it, not just for those 18, 19-year-olds out there who could really be literally in the money, but also for the state of New York. This would pay off great dividends in terms of the economy and all that, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's about good paying jobs. They'll be able to stay here. We know there's a great population loss in New York State. These will keep these jobs right here with these skills. And I tell you, everyone can be a part of this. Everyone should be talking to their children, their grandchildren about exploring these professional skills, electrical trades, plumbing, all these types of things, so we all can be a part of that. And that's what I would encourage all the constituents across the state of New York. Take an opportunity, talk to our young people. There are good paying jobs there, and we need to match their skills with the education and the training, and this is a way that we can do that.
So that might be the best thing for you folks to take away from this entire discussion. Open your eyes to maybe a path that you weren't considering for your children or your grandchildren because the opportunities are out there, right?
Yes.
And you're hearing it, I mean, they're hearing it. They heard it first from the manufacturing community, the tradespeople that are out there, the contractors. They need people. And this might be an interesting way to get it done. I want to thank you both for joining us today. Assembly members Ken Blankenbush and Mike Norris, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Want to thank you folks too for being here with us, and we'll hope to see you soon for our next edition of Assembly Update.